It's unbelievable that you survived. Skiing was my everything. This is a miracle. Extremely severe traumatic brain injury. Falling is the best way to learn to get back up.
How long did the doctors tell you it would be before you walked again?
At least 2 years.
And how soon did you walk?
About half a year after, I started thinking, okay, this try. Who says I couldn't ski if I can walk? There is always hope, and hope is amazing. I was a professional freestyle skier back in the days. I slept, ate, and even shitted skiing. I really loved skiing, purely. It was pure love which I felt towards it.
Now there is a very distinct before and after in your world, the moment where your life changed.
28th of April 2010, because that was the day when my dream came to an end. I didn't wake up. I fell asleep, really deeply asleep. I fell into coma. And this sweet black thing here is the one which saved me.
So you were wearing this helmet on the day. And what happened?
I approached the kicker with fast speed as always, but what I couldn't notice was that a really strong blast of wind came from behind me. It grabbed me on the lip of the kicker and I flew too far. I couldn't do anything, but I overrode the trick. I should have spun like 1080 degrees, so 3 whole spins and 2 flips, but I ended up spinning like 1300 and then I crashed. And
do you remember that moment when the wind caught you and things fell out of control?
No, I don't remember anything from that day. I guess that it has been really helpful that I have been able to go through the whole filming session by watching that film countless times now afterwards. It feels kind of surreal. It looks like just another jump, and you see that someone falls down really hard, but it doesn't register that it's me who's falling there. It's kind of horrible.
You're in a very deep sleep, you're in a coma almost immediately. So the people around you, what have they told you happens moments after the accident?
They have told me that everyone was giving their jackets and all the clothes they were wearing and covering me up with them.
Were you airlifted to hospital from there?
No, because the emergency helicopter wasn't able to fly that day, and it took like over 8 hours of precious time which I didn't have back then. First they took me to Rovaniemi, but they figured out that this is too hard of a case for us. Let's pass Pekka to Oulu. And when I got to Oulu, I was taken immediately to the operating table, and I have nice scars in my head. They are just cracking the skull open so that the pressure can stabilize. But they were really in alert if they would have to take a whole piece of from the top of my skull and take it away, because I had 2 pneumonias when I was in coma and I was really struggling.
You know, Huel has been a staple of my diet for some time, and I'm currently loving these Huel Daily A to Z vitamins. Tastes great, refreshing. Each can has 26 vitamins and minerals, offering 154 science-backed health benefits. Reduced tiredness and fatigue, normal cognitive function, healthy skin, hair and nails, and vitamin D for immunity. This is a vitamin drink that offers everything you could need it to. So what are you waiting for? Grab it right now in Tesco stores nationwide or at huel.com and let me know what you think.
Man, how many days were you in the coma for?
For 17 days.
And what do you remember of waking for the first time?
I don't.
Really?
Diagnosis is extremely severe traumatic brain injury. I didn't have an insurance back then, so it was really hard because the doctor didn't really understand what was going in my head, and he said just that, listen Pekka, you should be really happy that you are alive. This is a miracle. It's unbelievable that you survived, but I'm afraid that you won't ever be able to get back on skis again. I think you'll be able to get back up to your feet in 2 years of time, but when you will learn to walk, it will be another miracle. So please do not waste this second chance you have gotten. You should love to be alive. Back then I thought that being alive is of course really precious, but skiing was my everything. When I woke up from the coma, I didn't remember anything from skiing, of course, but back in the fall time I had already met many of my friends, skier friends, and they had told me that I am a professional skier. I started to recall that it was my dream, and I of course wanted to get back on skis. Hearing those words from the doctor just broke my heart. I wheeled myself back into my room in the rehabilitation center, and I somehow dragged myself up onto my bed, and then I laid there. Nothing interested me any longer. I cried a long time. I remember that 1 week of time I didn't want to do anything. Nothing interested me any longer. No one seemed to understand why I was so depressed, so shaken.
What was the lowest moment?
The lowest moment was getting back to my room in the rehab center, and I remember thinking that I didn't see any other options back then. I saw a really hard future for myself, and I was thinking that if I can't ski ever again, there is no meaning to be alive, and I want to end it all. What got me out of those deepest thoughts? That I knew that the ones I loved had really sacrificed everything for me, and all the things my mother had done for me to get into that rehabilitation center. I could not do this to her, and so it was my cross to carry.
Uudestaan auki ja nyt silmät kiinni. Ja tee se sama. Joo. Ja nyt.
I decided that I'm going to carry it, and then I succeeded in some really small task, and it felt surprisingly good. And then I managed to do another thing, and I saw myself better than what I was back in that morning, and that feeling was amazing, that I had just progressed my condition and I had done something to get better. And if I would keep on doing that, then no one could tell me how good or bad I would end up to be. From that moment on, I've been doing my best.
Eikö sulla yhtään semmonen mieleen se muistikuva?
So, can you pass on a piece of advice for anyone listening to this, Pekka, that for listeners that might be in their own dark space at the moment, because maybe not as catastrophic as you felt, but what's the one piece of advice you give to anybody that may be going through a tough time on how they can get through it?
There is always a possibility for a brighter future, and you don't have to feel it right at the moment. You don't have to see it now, but it is out there. And if you are all alone, you don't have to be in the future. There has been a few really spectacular moments. The first one may have been being able to tie my own shoes. About 45 minutes of effort to tie my own shoelaces, but I was able to do that, and after that trying to get back to my own feet, and my mother was counting the steps which I took, and the first try was like half a step and falling down to my face, followed by 10 minutes of struggle to get back up on my feet from the snowy ground. And then in 2 weeks of time, my record was over 4,500 steps. And that's when my mother said that, okay, Pekka, this is enough. From this moment on, I am not going to count your steps any longer. We are going to count just the distance. And right now, the farthest distance I have walked, or actually even jogged, is a half a marathon and something on top of it.
That is amazing. I'm really interested though in the 10 minutes it took you to get up out of the snow. Why did no one come and lift you up? Did they not want to? Or
No.
did you not want them to?
Both.
Why?
Because falling is the best way to learn to get back up, or when you are trying to get back up yourself, when you fall back down, if you just try to get up again, you will proceed and you will progress. I started thinking that, okay, this try, and that continued as long as I was up there standing.
So you became entirely focused on the process, not the outcome.
Yeah, I can accept failures on the process in the way to achieve that goal, but the goal is still really clear in my own eyes.
So let's talk about some of the goals then. How long did the doctors tell you it would be before you walked again?
At least 2 years.
And how soon did you walk?
Well, my first steps were on our yard on a trampoline. We had this huge yard trampoline where it didn't hurt at all if you fell. So I started practicing there. It was about half a year after.
Amazing.
I'm interested in the grief cycle that you must have been through, because you had this life as a incredible freestyle skier, and now you've almost lost that life. Did anyone ever help you go through that grieving process of a life that you once had?
No.
Can you recognise that you were going through something similar to grief though now?
Definitely, yeah. I think that the grieving process was that 1 week of time during which I was depressed and thought about ending my life.
When did they tell you you'd ski again?
Never.
And have you been on skis since?
Actually, I have.
Really?
And the amazing thing is that when I was back on my feet, I started to think immediately that back then when I was in good condition, that I have never been a professional walker or anyhow otherwise very talented in walking, but still I am walking right now. And I was really talented skier, but who says I couldn't ski if I can walk? And this was the voice of reason which I brought out loud to anyone who disagreed with me, and I told my mother that I want to get back on my skis, and this was 8 months after the accident.
And what was your mother's reaction?
She just sighed like, okay, you have to be able to put on your ski boots by your own, and then it's okay for me. I started practicing putting my ski boots on immediately after that. There is always hope, and hope is amazing. Hope and believe, they are two really similar things, but hope is a little bit more vague, and it's the first step to have hope, and then if you can find the belief to support that hope, then you're on your way.
Your injury, if you didn't do all of this work, what would be the result of not constantly putting in the effort and putting in the work to stay healthy?
I don't really know, nor do I want to think about that kind of possibility. I'm just happy that I am able to do all the work, but The worst of my fears is that the black from my blood goes to my brain, and I will develop this horrific illness called CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Basically dementia, but on another scale, and you don't have to wait. It may start hitting you today, and that's why I keep on exercising so much. It's really amazing when you know why you do what you do. You can really find all the resources in your possess to put into that task, and that's how you find the motivation as well. If you know why you are doing what you are doing, and if the why is great enough, then the motivation comes naturally. I want to become better in this life, and I will do everything in my power to be better.
And how optimistic are you about your future?
It's way nicer to smile than to frown, and future, no one knows what lays ahead of us, but if you approach the future with a smile on your face, it can't go worse than what it can go if you're not positive about it.
So much of your story could be about improving yourself.
Yeah.
But the truth is you now want to spread this message around the world.
Yeah. And it's also because I know that I could become way more talented and stronger and faster alone, but it's still nothing compared to what we can do together with other people. If I am fight back alone, Pekka Hyysalo fight back from Finland, I may have some sisu, but when there is like 5 million Finnish people and we are fight back, or when there are 100 million European people, we are fight back. The world, we can fight back together. Then we are talking about huge things, and that's big. That's my final goal.